Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Gyan Sampada, where today we are going to continue with our quantum mechanics class. So in our previous classes we have discussed about the basic properties, simple applications as well as hydrogen atom, and today we are going to start with another important concept, that is angular momentum, and our concentration will be mainly focused on deriving the Cartesian components of angular momentum with respect to quantum regime. So let's get started with our today's class. First, what actually is angular momentum? Generally, we define momentum as the capacity to make other objects to move in its motion, and there are mainly two types of momentum, that is linear momentum and angular momentum. We say that linear momentum, which is denoted as P, as the product of mass and velocity, and angular momentum is the rotational equivalent of linear momentum. And there are different ways to define angular momentum, but why actually this is playing very important role is the question. So generally, if we have momentum of any system, easily we can derive different quantities, because we define linear momentum as mass into velocity, and if you have momentum of a system and mass, then easily we can find out velocity. If we have velocity, we can find out the kinetic energy or even the total energy, as well as the position can be derived from the velocity. We can lead to acceleration, and that's why we can say momentum is playing a very vital role, and from that many information about the system can be derived. But what actually is the main significance of momentum is the nature of it. So if you consider any system, the momentum, it may be linear momentum or angular momentum. If the system is closed, then the total momentum or total angular momentum of the closed system is going to remain constant. So this quantity is a conserved quantity, and that is the significance of momentum or angular momentum. So this is some detail about angular momentum, and I am not going into depth because it is a familiar term. So let's concentrate on our actual topic, that is we need to find out three different components of angular momentum in Cartesian coordinates. So generally angular momentum is denoted as capital L, and it is a vector quantity. In classical mechanics, the angular momentum, which is denoted as L, of a particle is defined as the vector product of its position vector, generally denoted as R vector, and the linear momentum denoted as P. So that can be understood using this diagram. Generally we say that linear momentum is equals to mass into velocity. So if velocity of the particle is increased, obviously the momentum is going to increase. So impact will be more, and angular momentum is the rotational equivalent of linear momentum. So using vector algebra, easily we can define what is angular momentum in terms of linear momentum. So if we consider this trajectory with the position vector of the particle denoted as r, then the linear momentum will be defined as the tangent to it, which is nothing but p is equals to m into v. Because whenever you consider any trajectory motion, then the velocity of a particle on the circumference of the trajectory will be obtained by drawing a tangent normal to it. And if you just multiply by its mass, we are going to get the momentum. So if the particle is present here, then the momentum will be directed as a tangent to the trajectory, and the resultant will be nothing but the angular momentum. And that's why we define angular momentum as the cross product of position vector r and the linear momentum p. And according to the vector algebra, this term can be equated as the determinant of its components. So I, j, k are the unit vectors along each direction. The position vector r has the components x, y and z. Linear momentum has its components along x, y, z direction as px along x direction, py along y direction and pz along z direction. So r cross p can be defined like this determinant. And this determinant can be solved, which will be equivalent to I cap into y into pz minus z into py minus j cap into x into pz minus z into px plus k cap into x into py minus y into px. So here we can observe that the angular momentum is defined in three parts. So first part can be related to the x component, second part as the y component, and third part as z component. But this is according to classical physics, and how it is going to change with respect to quantum physics is the question. So now let us find out the angular momentum components in Cartesian coordinates with respect to quantum laws. And for that we need to replace the position as well as momentum by their corresponding operators, because when we were discussing about the basic properties of quantum physics, we just saw that for every observable or for every variable in classical physics, we are having the corresponding operators related to it. So for position we are having position operators, for momentum we are having momentum operators, which we have already derived while discussing the basic properties or basic postulates of quantum physics. So the same thing we need to do here, and from the previous slide it is clear that angular momentum L, which is a vector quantity, can be expressed as this equation. Only difference is that in place of y pz we are just writing y cap into pz cap. Cap is representing the operators, and next step will be replacing or putting the values of each operator. The position operator x cap will be just remaining as x, y cap will remain as y, z cap will remain as z. But the momentum operator, we know that P is equals to minus IH cross del, and the components Px cap is nothing but minus IH cross dou by dou x, Py cap is minus IH cross dou by dou y, Pz cap is nothing but minus IH cross dou by dou z. So the same thing we have substituted, that is replacement of the observables by the corresponding operators, because finally we need the result in quantum mechanical regime, and that's why this substitution is done. So now we can just simplify this equation and call it as equation number 1. So minus IH cross is common in both the terms, so taken outside, into y into dou by dou z minus z into dou by dou y into I cap, plus again minus IH cross taken as common and negative is taken inside, so that we can have positive sign in between each term. So minus IH cross common into second term will come first, z into dou by dou x minus x into dou by dou z into j cap, plus minus IH cross common into x into dou by dou y minus y into dou by dou x. So let us call it as equation number 1, which is with respect to the operators. Then also we know that the total angular momentum can be written in terms of its components. So what is the amount of angular momentum with respect to x axis, with respect to y axis, and with respect to z axis? And any vector can be written as the magnitude into unit vector. That's why for the angular momentum along x coordinate, we are writing Lx as the magnitude and I cap is the unit vector along x axis. Similarly for y axis and z axis. So let it be equation number 2. So here we are having equation number 1, where we are having angular momentum on LHS, as well as equation number 2 with the same LHS part. So next we just need to compare both the equations, that is from equation 1 and equation number 2. By comparison we can say that Lx, which is the angular momentum along x axis, will be equal to minus IH cross into y dou by dou z minus z dou by dou y. Ly will be equal to minus IH cross into z dou by dou x minus x dou by dou z. Lz will be equal to minus IH cross into x into dou by dou y minus y into dou by dou x. So these are the expressions for three Cartesian components of angular momentum, that is Lx, Ly, Lz. So then the question comes, just by looking at the expression we feel it is very difficult to remember. However, the steps to solve the equation is very simple, but in a hurry some signs may miss out and we can end up with a wrong result. But I have a very simple method to remember these expression, only that we need to remember the cyclic order, that is what comes after which term. So every time we will say x, then comes y, then comes z. In the same way here also, if we are representing Lx, that is angular momentum along x axis, then in the RHS we don't have any x term, but the next term which we are getting is y followed by the z term. So x, which is Lx, will be equal to minus IH cross is constant, then y into the differential, that is dou by dou z. Minus is common sign, then reversing the first term, that is z will come here, y will come here, that is z into dou by dou y. In the same way, Ly, next term to y is z, after z we are having x. In the same manner we have to write all the terms and easily we can remember all three Cartesian components of angular momentum. So this is a technique to remember these visually complicated expressions, but actually they are very simple. But don't forget these constant, that is minus IH cross, which is common and with negative signs in between each term. And this is about today's class, where we understood about angular momentum, how we are going to relate from classical regime to the quantum regime, and we derived the three Cartesian components of angular momentum. And in our next class we will be deriving the components of angular momentum but in spherical polar coordinates, that is with respect to r, theta and phi. But remember, again while solving for the angular momentum components in polar coordinates, we need to know the components in Cartesian coordinate system. That's why go through it, solve it and remember today's class, so that our next class will be easy to grasp. So this is for today's class. Study well, practice well, and see you in our next class. Take care and thank you for watching.